2 days remain until the 9th anniversary. Pre-registration awards are given away to your inboxes, including the gold and the crystals and the potential Transcendent Selector. So I wanted to rank all 32 characters. This is up from 24. They added 8 new characters between the last one they gave away for Black Friday and this one. So I wanted to rank all of them in a new, tier list ranking. So let's get right into it. As always, just PSA, this is just my personal opinion on these ranks as well. If you don't have the newest uniform for the character, then they're all bad. Essentially, like, none of these characters are good. Some of them aren't even supports if they don't have, the newest uniform. So yeah, and then we're gonna put here future value. This is the only one that I wanted to change the listing on, change the name on. But yeah, let's get into it. America Chavez, not bad. We're just gonna go with the standard SABC here. It doesn't matter too much. I'll just mention as I rank each one of them. She is only a support these days for PvP, but even then, like, not high tier PvP. You're talking like mid tier AC kind of stuff. She does have, I believe, an iframe ignore counter skill, or just iframe ignore, but it's quite strong against speed types because she's a combat type. But she obviously can't compare with the likes of Wolverine, Carnage, Hulk, etc. But she's not bad, honestly, and she gives all allies 40% HP. She's certainly not a bad option. Dr. Octopus, probably the best option. Hands down the best option for the Transcended Selector. He's an amazing tier 4. He kind of needs the tier 4, just a PSA there. He kind of needs the tier 4 because it gives him the cooldown reduction, which allows him to spam his rotation. So his tier 4 advancement is very, very powerful for him. Because of that, it sort of turns him into like old school Luna with the way that you play him. He's a very quirky character to play. I can't say enough about him that's good. I was really low on him when he first came out. I didn't really realize his potential when he came out a year ago. But I have since changed my ways, and I am a Dr. Octopus enjoyer. He has access to the team-up collection, and there doesn't really seem to be anyone on the horizon that is going to be able to compete with him as a combat human villain. We might have like Apocalypse from the voting, but he is not human. So it'll be interesting to see if he ever gets any competition and when that happens. Drax kind of sucks. I would put him here with Chavez because he does have some PvP potential, but I mean, I guess for now we could put him here, but I think I personally think he kind of sucks. And again, it's just like low tier PvP, low tier AC. It's nothing crazy. Gamora is very good, and unlike Dr. Octopus, she does not need to be tier 4 to be good. Even at level 80, she hits really hard. As mine can attest to, she can go all the way up to almost 90 of Ultron, which is, that was pre-nerf, by the way, pre-nerf Ultron. So yeah, very, very strong. I don't want to put her here next to Dr. Octopus just because she's not meta for anything. Obviously, she doesn't compete with the likes of Spider-Gwen and Luna for ABX, ABL. But she's not bad at all, and she has the flexibility or the benefit of being an alien, not being a human. So she does have access to some content that they don't have access to. Heimdall, again, I feel like he's in the same category. He has a much stronger, well, I think he has a more effective leadership than Drax because Drax requires you to pile on a bunch of combat types. His is just, defense and ignore dodge, which is nice. And his artifact gives him access to healing, which is kind of cringe. Yeah, you could argue he deserves to be down here based on how much you need to build him for him to have any use. But yeah, he's not terrible either, and he has a good awakening skill with Valkyrie and Sif. So I think it's Valkyrie and Sif. Anyways, Cho's terrible. Cho is just straight up terrible. No business being on this list. I'll just quickly rank the rest of the terrible characters here. Elsa's also terrible. Pretty much no point in building them at all. Moon Girl's terrible. She's just a leader. She's a leadership. If you want her for the leadership, that's fine. You can do that. Hawkeye's also terrible. There's really no point here to building him. I think that about does it for like the really terrible characters. But yeah, we might add some more to this list. Maybe, honestly, maybe Iron Fist deserves to be here as well. Now that we're at the bottom here, we might as well address future value. There are some characters here that could be seeing upgrades in the near future. So I want to first talk about Beast because of X-Men 97. There's a good chance that we get an X-Men 97 update. Beast is featured prominently. He's one of the few. He's the only one from the Epic Quest that doesn't have tier 4 because Storm has it, Cyclops has it, Rogue has it, Wolverine has it, Magneto has it, Jean has it. So he's the last one. He's the last of the gang to die. So he should be getting something. Red Guardian could be probably getting something for Thunderbolts, which I believe is next year. That's still a ways away, but there is some future value there. Human Torch and Thing should be getting something next year, this year, for, I think it's, no, sorry, it's next year, July next year, for the Fantastic Four movie. So again, it's about a year away. Yeah, I know. But again, if you've gotten most of the good characters and you're sort of just working your way through the sort of mid-tier ones, you could maybe take a flyer on some of these characters to get something with some future value. I also want to put out there the possibility for Hulkbuster. This one's a bit of a... This is a stretch. This is definitely a stretch here for Mr. Fantastic. I'm only saying this because they gave War Machine second place on that poll. That's such a bullshit ranking. Like, no one voted for War Machine. We already talked about that. But if they're doing War Machine, my thinking is something like around Armor Wars or just something related to Iron Man, right? Maybe they'll do something. They'll give Iron Man a new uniform and then just him and all his cronies. And of course, Hulkbuster fits into that. So he's probably like the least, like, he's future value, but like here are the odds of him getting something, but we have to put him here. So we'll put him at the end there. I don't think there's anybody else that really has future value. I mean, I guess you could argue she does because there's going to be Beyond the Spider-Verse, but Spider-Gwen's really good. So I just put her up here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, just put her up there because that's where she kind of belongs. She's very, very strong. She's obviously playing second fiddle to Luna and ABX ABL, but she's not bad at all in her own right. And she's certainly a faithful alternative if you don't have Luna's seasonal uniform. And obviously she's much cheaper because she doesn't require a seasonal uniform. Silk is a seasonal uniform and she sucks. So we're just going to put her here for now, but her value is actually much worse because her uniform costs money, which is cringe. Medusa is a good support. Support for Inhumans, support for Black Bolt, and lead. Which means she's also support for Thane. That's not really much. I know, that's not much of anything, but yeah, it's something. Red Skull sucks, so we're going to put him in the suck category because that's kind of straightforward. Sif is an amazing lead/support. Lead for combat types, support for all allies. So it's a bit tricky there, but very, very strong. But she needs her uniform. So if you're not going to buy the uniform, then she's down here. So just to be clear, no uniform Sif is over here. Uniform Sif is over here. Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, we can rank them together. They're not terrible, but they're not very good either. I would say they're like sort of around the Drax level of PvP, like low tier AC kind of stuff. But they sort of need to be paired together. And even still, I would put Jessica Jones, she's strictly worse than Luke Cage. Yeah, less tanky, doesn't hit as hard, doesn't have the iframe ignore stuff. Yeah, just not, maybe she does, no, I don't think she has an iframe ignore. Anyways, yeah, just not very good. Moon Knight, very, very strong, but has been replaced for any of the content that he was meta for. So he sort of fills a role like Gamora, where he's still very good, but yeah, he doesn't really push the needle there. Same thing goes with Shadow Shell. So again, not a bad character in any right, like a strong character. Very good at level 80, where some characters are not. So she like Gamora is very good at level 80, and then gets even better at tier 4. Has some minor PvP value if you compare her with Sunbird and Blue Dragon, but yeah, I wouldn't go too far. I wouldn't get too hype about that in the current state of the game. Swordmaster, again, this is just like low tier AC content. Yeah, you could maybe make the argument that he deserves to be somewhere around there. Same thing for War Tiger. He's just bad, just like low AC tier content. He's certainly the odd man out, right? Because you make a team with Blue Dragon, Shadow Shell, and Sunbird, and you're not using War Tiger for anything. So yeah, that's not happening. We can rank them together, Titania and Absorbing Man. I forgot his name. I was going to call him Abomination Man. They were good. They were good, really good as a tandem for ABX until we got better combat villains. He's still not bad for PvP. He gets access to extra healing through Reflect, through his artifact. He also has physical Reflect, which is not bad. I would certainly put him somewhere around here with like America Chavez. Quirky for sure, not going to be super consistent, and obviously not going to fight with like the top metas, but not bad either. Titania, I would say, is a little bit better. I would almost put her in A tier because she does have some value. She's a leadership. She's a support. She can do triple duty for ABX if you haven't invested in Nebula, haven't invested in Hope Summers, and obviously it's really expensive. But keep in mind, she needs her uniform to get access to any of that stuff, right? So with her, without her uniform, her leadership is worse. She doesn't have the support passive. She's not really worth going to town on. Angel, with the new uniform being seasonal, keep that in mind. So without his seasonal uniform, he's like down here in the dumps. Okay, no uniform angels down here in the dumps. They did just give us his artifact for free, so everyone should have his artifact, which is nice. I would say with his artifact, he's firmly over here with the seasonal uniform. He doesn't seem to be very good at 80. Seems like he needs tier 4, but he is a pretty good tier 4. He has a nice passive like Wasp and Strife, which is rare, to give all allies debuff removal. So you got to kind of give him a bit of respect there. He's not very good. Like, you know, he doesn't have iframe ignore. This is really the problem. They just don't want to give characters iframe ignore anymore. It's cringe. But yeah, he does have some value here. So I would sort of flip-flop him with her at level 80. Oh, you know, he's certainly down here at level 80. At tier 4, he kind of gets a little bit higher. So yeah, you can sort of flip-flop these two depending on what your needs are, PvP, PvE type of thing. But yeah, that's kind of where he belongs. Bishop doesn't really have any value here outside of an alternative striker for your Black Bolt if you don't have Cable's Kid Cable uniform. And then I guess he's like a somewhat useful leadership, but yeah, pretty bad. Pretty bad, let's be honest. Kate Bishop, a little bit better, but really not much use in the game at this point. She's a damage dealer, but you have tons of damage dealers in the game. And of course, for speed female heroes who are human, we've just talked about 2. And if you would count aliens, we've talked about 3 that just blow her out of the water on the basis of just being level 80, right? Or just even 72 alone. And then Scream, a little bit more rare, I would say, of a typing because she's a combat female hero. We know those are in short supply. We talked about Titania. But yeah, Nebula blows her out of the water. Hope blows her out of the water. She wasn't even really an option for ABX, so it's not really worth mentioning that too much. But I would put her in the B. Like, she's not bad. She's easy to play. She's proc friendly. She hits pretty hard for what she can do. But at this point, like, I wouldn't even, like, after Titania, I wouldn't even really entertain buying any of these characters' uniforms. Unless you already have the uniform and you're just going to transcend them. That's a different story. But I certainly wouldn't buy Scream's uniform to have it, to transcend her, to then, what, use her on stage 1 null kind of thing? Or stage 25 null? I don't think so. But yeah, that's basically how the list rates and ranks out. Hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of the ranking. Thank you so much for watching. Smash the like button if you enjoyed the content. And I will see you in the next one. Take care.